What is faith? What does it entail? What does it look like? How much do you have to have of it? Is it all the way in or are you all the way out? Is it a little bit? Do you, we go, if you're an atheist, we go, yep, you know what? You don't have faith, right? That's kind of, we got that clearly, you're on the outside. But what does faith mean? If you go, well, I don't really know what's out there. There's just kind of something out there. Is that faith? If you go, well, no, I believe in God. I don't do anything else, but I believe that there's a God. Is that faith? Is it for you to do some religious stuff like this? Like, well, I go to church, I light a candle, I might read my Bible, I might pray. Is that what faith is? How much of that is? How much do you have to do of that to go, this is what real faith looks like? How does faith take shape in somebody's life? That's the question. How do we really get a handle on saying, this is something real? This is something authentic that we can work with, and it's going to move me down the line. What we're going to do is we're going to go way back in time, back to the book of Genesis. We're going to look at a family we've looked at multiple times before, and their journey of faith that I think is going to be very, very instructive for us. It is the story of Jacob and his 12 sons. Let me just do a quick snapshot review, just in case you're not familiar with the story. So Jacob is in the line with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. He has 12 sons. The 12 sons are going to not like one of their younger brothers. They're going to sell him off to Egypt. He's going to go down to Egypt and eventually, actually, through God's hand, become second in charge. While they kind of stumble and bumble along, eventually the brothers are going to go down, reunite with the brother, and the whole family is going to be brought together. That's kind of the short version of this story, so you kind of know where it is. Today we're going to look at just Jacob the father and 10 of the brothers. 10 of the brothers, and go, well, what does their faith look like? Because certainly they're going to have some sort of faith. I mean, for crying out loud, the guy's the grandson of Abraham. Abraham is recognized as a faithful guy in multiple religions. So he was taken to Sunday school. He was brought up in a good church. You understand there's no Sunday school or church at the time. They killed a goat, They were brought up right. He knows what this is. This is not a family that doesn't believe in something. They believe in it. But unfortunately, the story of Jacob doesn't start out quite as nicely. In fact, by his very name, they named him Jacob to suggest that he was going to be a little bit of a scoundrel. And indeed, that was what he was. He was kind of a mama's boy. His older brother, twin brother, born at the same time, was an outdoors guy. So, he'd go out, he'd shoot a deer, throw it over the shoulder, look for another one, shoot it, throw it over the deer, and walk home. No ATVs at that time, He was a big, rugged guy. Well, the very first story of Jacob is how he steals and swindles his brother out of a blessing. Because he's a smaller guy. He doesn't know if he can fend for himself. Mama kind of helps out with this, and he cons his brother, and then he cons his dad into getting the blessing so that he can be set for life. He gets the blessing. But when the scheme is found out, everyone is ticked off. His dad's mad, but more importantly, his twin brother is mad, and he can do something about it. And so Jacob has to run away from home. He has tried to secure blessing for himself by conning people, and all it has done is made him run out in the wilderness. This is not a good guy, right? He's a bad guy. He's a con artist. That's who Jacob is. And if we were going to start out with kind of talking about faith, this is the last guy that we'd really start with. He's kind of one of those church kids that got, turned into a bad seed, went the wrong way. That's Jacob. Where's Jacob? He had to run away from home. But what do you know? And by the way, these numbers that are on the screen and in your chart are just referring to the chapters in the book of Genesis. Give you a little reference point. In the very next chapter, Jacob is out running along, and he runs smack dab into God. He's out not knowing what to do. He has to use a rock for a pillow. He lays down, and he has the Jacob ladder string. You know, if you've been in church, you've heard of this thing. The angel's going up and down, and he is like, holy mackerel, God is in this place. I had heard about him on the felt board at Sunday school, but now I know God is real. There's something to this. It wasn't just a bad tuna fish sandwich. God is real. He has stepped into my life. The unlikeliest person of all time, a con artist, God runs into. And not only does he have this dream, but God tells Jacob, I am the God of your grandfather and your father and of you. And I am going to bless you, and I'm going to multiply you, and your people are going to cover over the land. I will have my hand of guidance upon you. Well, Jacob wakes up from this just kind of astounded and is trying to grapple with this, his first kind of real encounter with God, but he's going, I'm a believer. And Jacob does what Jacob does best. He cuts a deal. He goes, okay, God, you're real. I'm in on this now. And if you promise to deliver the goods in my life, I'll deliver the goods in your life. I'll be a faithful follower. I'll memorize a book of the Bible. I'll be at church 36 out of 52, baby. You know, I'm going to even tithe on anything that you give me. I'm in if you deliver the goods. Now, you notice that Jacob is using ifs. God didn't use any ifs. He just said, I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and now of you, and I'm going to bless you. No condition. Jacob thinks this is some type of deal. God will do this for me if I do that for him, but God's blessing was given up front. The very thing he was looking for, God's ready to give, but he puts it into a deal. Well, time kind of goes along. We might go, well, hey, there's some good-looking faith, right? You know, he's a follower. He said the prayer. He's in. But the story kind of goes cattywampus, and he gets mixed in with an uncle, and he cons the uncle cons him. I mean, there's no, like, real life change here. Jacob is still Jacob. He's a swindler. He's a manipulator. Things aren't going well. Eventually, he gets run out of there. And as life takes it, he now is going to run into his brother. On the night before he meets his brother, and he's not sure how this is going to go, his brother could still really be mad from what he'd stolen from him. He has another meeting with God. It's referring to when Jacob wrestles with God. He wrestles with this angel, and he's wrestling through the night. And a lot of preachers will go, this is really good. This is kind of, you can wrestle with God, and sure, we can talk about that. But I want you to notice what Jacob says to the angel. The angel goes, let me go because morning is coming, and I need to go. Jacob says, I'm only going to let you go unless you bless me. See, you guys need to go out and buy the book. It was Jacob's book first, The Art of the Deal. He's cutting deals all through life. I've got to leverage God. If I'm going to get anything for me, I've got to put you into a pinch point to make sure that I get what I want. See, this is no great statement of faith. This is manipulation. I'll only let you go if you bless me. And certainly he gets the blessing, and he goes and he meets his brother, and there's a good reunion there, and things go well. Certainly God is working his life. He is gaining lots of wealth. He's gaining wives. He's starting to gain kids. And then he runs into God one more time in chapter 35. He has lost some people out of his clan. He's buried them, so it's kind of a downtime in his life. And God shows up and says, Jacob, your name's no longer going to be Jacob. You no longer will be called a swindler. Your name now will be Israel, which means Prince of God. You see, this is a gift, a blessing that God just kind of brings into Jacob's life of saying, you are no longer just who you have made yourself to be. I am renaming you. I am calling you out. I'm letting you know once again, my blessing is on you. Isn't that a terrific story? You go, all right, a prodigal kid runs away, and God encounters him, brings him along, gets him believing, gets him following. This is a good story of faith, right? So let's see where this faith goes. Jacob has been blessed by God multiple times, reminded by God that he's blessed, and in fact, he has all that stuff. But then some hard times start coming along. He has the 12 boys. He gets into a little bit of jealousy, favoritism. The 10 older boys don't like Joseph. Joseph goes to find out what they're doing while they're holding the flocks way far away, and the brothers go, we're done with this kid. He's a nuisance to us. So they throw him down a well, and eventually they sell him off to the Midianites to go down into Egypt. And they go, our problem is over. We just got to convince Dad that this is a good idea. So they take his clothes, and they put some goat's blood on it, and they bring it home. They go, Dad, on our way home, look at what we found. I think it's Joseph's coat. I wonder what could have happened. And Jacob goes, certainly my son is gone. A lion has come upon him and devoured him. Now that's a terrible thing, right? Now, even though it didn't happen, this is what Jacob is imagining. But then Jacob goes into this place of great mourning, which you would expect. This is one of the most tragic things to happen in life, to lose a child. But as they try to comfort him, and it's more than just this moment, you get this sense that this is over time. This dark cloud has settled over top of this family. He says, there is nothing good left for me. I will go to the grave in mourning. This man that has all these blessings in his life still has 11 children, still has wives, still has all he can go is the one thing I loved is gone. And that will define the rest of my life. The Prince of God. You might know people in that type of a situation where it's just that one thing that happens. And man, whatever faith there is, gets real shaky. It's all over. There's nothing good left for me. Well, time goes along, and his sons, they have a famine that comes along, and they have to go down to Egypt. Go to Egypt to get some food. So he sends his 10 older brothers, or older sons down. They go down, and they discover Joseph. Don't know Joseph yet. Joseph knows them. And so he does this little testing thing here. He goes, I want to see if they've treated my younger brother Benjamin well, or whether they've gotten rid of him. So they go, do you have another brother? Yes, we have another. Well, I'm going to treat you like spies. I'm going to throw you into prison. I'm going to keep one of you. The rest of you get to go back until you come back and bring that youngest one. He stays with me. Oh, great. So they come on back home. They explain to Jacob, this is what's going on. He's calling us spies. We're honest people. But they kept Simeon. Here's what Jacob says. You want to take Benjamin? Forget it. I've lost Joseph. I've lost Simeon. He's stuck in a jail down there. Now you want to take my youngest? Here's what he says. Everything is against me. How about it? I've got the blessing of God, but everything is against me. I can't control the things that I want to control. How dare you bring another scenario into my life that's not going to work out right? He's frightened about how this whole scenario is going. Everything is against me, the Prince of God. As they're arguing, he actually gets to the point where he's going, why did you tell them you had a younger brother? In fact, he puts it this way. He goes, why did you bring this trouble on me? Don't you know how to handle this situation? You should have lied. That's the way you get out of this. That's the way you get through life. You con people. That's how you make sure things work out well. I'm sure this was in a Sunday school lesson somewhere, right? I'm not joking. You read it for yourself. Why didn't you lie? You brought this trouble into me. It's going all wrong. I can have all this blessing, but it's not happening the way that I want it to happen. He eventually relents, not with a faith-filled statement of going, you know what, I think God will take care of my son. God will provide what we need. He goes, you know what, forget it. If I lose them, I lose them. Whatever. And then he sends them off. And they go on down. And they go through the testings of Joseph, and Joseph finally reveals himself, saying, I'm alive. And you know what? I'm going to bring the whole family down. They go home, and they tell Jacob, your beloved son is alive. It says, his spirit revived. He had a second lease on life. Things are good now. The thing that I lost is now found, and I'm going to go down there. And Jacob goes, look, I'm going to provide for everybody. I'm going to give you houses. I'm going to give you land. I've hit the lottery. You're never going to have to work again. It is good. I've got you taken care of. I've got your kids taken care of. Things are great. And you have your son back. And to top it all off, Jacob gets to meet the president. He does. He goes in and has an audience with Pharaoh. And Pharaoh says, what's up, bro? That's what it says in the Hebrew. What's up, bro? And Jacob says, God is good. And Pharaoh says, all the time. Right? No. Here's Jacob's statement about his life. My days are few and difficult. As I look back, I'm not going to live as long as my grandfather and my father. I've run into one problem after another. My life has been miserable. Ew. This is the guy that met God on the way and had been blessed. Met God along the way and been renamed. A guy that had received that blessing into his life. God delivered on what he said. But with every success that God gave Jacob, he grew more and more fearful over time. I guess we need to note that just because you have blessing, just because you have success, doesn't mean that's faith. Because we would look at the rest of Jacob's story and go, yeah, he believes in God. He even has some sort of relationship with God. I mean, he's meeting with him. But it doesn't penetrate his life, does it? Is that a real faith? Well, you know, in good true fashion, Dad passes these lessons on to the kids. So the 10 brothers. The 10 brothers are kind of a smaller part of this story. Remember, they're the ones that are going to go, when they're growing up, Joseph is the youngest. He's kind of a spoiled kid, the favored kid. And so they're going to go, we're going to get rid of him. They want to kill him, but fortunately, they sell him off. And they think, we're done and over, except that cloud now holds over top of this household. Dad will not be consoled. And they hold that secret between them, and they know we're the cause of this. And this just kind of grows deeper and deeper into them. They get into other messes as they go along. So it comes time for them to go down to Egypt to get grain. They head on down. All right, we're going to be saved here. They meet Joseph. They don't know it's Joseph. Joseph says, wonderful, there's the jail. And he throws them all right in jail. I don't know if this is a testing. I think this might actually be Joseph getting a little bit of revenge. You threw me down a well, I'm throwing you in jail. All 10 of you. Boom. They're in there, and you know what they say? God is out to get us. He's finally punishing us. This thing that has been over top of us, he has remembered what we have done years and years ago. And now he's here to punish us. Do you realize this is the first time that these 10 brothers ever say anything about God in this whole story? God is out to get us. And that's it. Joseph concocts his testing scheme, and so he goes, look, I'm going to release 9 of you. You go back, you get your younger brother, you bring him here, all's forgiven, but I'm keeping 1. So they get loaded up with the grain, they head out, but part of the testing is he takes the silver that they paid the grain with, and he hides it back in their bags. So they're going home, they get partway home, they open up their bags, and voila, they find the silver that they had spent to get the grain that they have. And do you know what they said? God is good all the time. No, they said, what has God done to us? Not for us. They didn't see this as a blessing. It wasn't somebody that framed them. God did this to us. He's after me. He's setting me up. He can't let go of the past. They go home. They eventually take Benjamin, gather him up, take him back down, because Dad relents, goes back down. Joseph welcomes them and has a little party with them and says, okay, I'm going to send you back home. And he loads them up with their grain. But once again, he hides the silver in there. And then he takes a special cup and he hides it in Benjamin's sack, the youngest. Now, he lets them get to the edge of the city because it's not stealing if you only eat the candy bar in the store. You have to walk outside the store. That you don't understand that that's the way it works? As long as you never leave the store, it's not stealing. I'm just saying. They get to the edge of the store, and he sends his soldiers out and go, how dare you steal from me? I treated you well. And the brothers are like, this is ridiculous. We wouldn't have done this. In fact, you go ahead and check all our grain. You can kill the one that has this cup, and the rest of us are your slaves. So they start with the oldest. Nothing. You know, they're like, yeah, we told you. Nothing. Benjamin's sack. Boom. This is the worst possible thing that could be happening. How could this be happening? Now our lives are over. Dad's life is over. The one son that he had left, that he loves, is going to be gone. And they're brought back in, and you know what they say? God has uncovered our guilt. God's out to get us. He threw us in jail. He's not forgetting the past. He's done this to us. He's uncovering our guilt. God is one who doesn't forget the past. Joseph eventually reveals himself to them and is reconciled. And he brings the whole family down, sets them up with houses. I'm going to take care of not just Dad, I'm taking care of all of you. We got our own section, right? Things are good. But then dear old Dad dies. Jacob dies. And you know their first response? I'm glad we're in good with Joseph. No? They go, what if? What if it was only for Dad's sake that Joseph has been doing this? What if he wants to exact revenge on us? He's going to come after us. He'll take all this stuff away. And so they do what they've been taught to do. They lie. They go to him and go, Joseph, Dad's last words were, be nice to your brothers. And he didn't say that at all. And Joseph says, you guys don't get this at all. You don't understand who God is in any way. None of this was temporary. You're good. We are permanently good together. The past is done. See, when you focus on failures, problems, you're really left to imagine God as unpredictable, or even worse, as vindictive. Not sure where I stand. He's capricious. All these people believed in God. They followed God to some extent or another. They probably worshiped him. They probably went to church. They probably sacrificed a goat to God. They did what the things were prescribed for them to do. They were people of faith. And yet, one was gripped by fear to the last days of his life, and even these only saw God as out to get them. Sometimes we make the mistake that when we talk about you need to have faith, we just, just get God in your life, and it'll make everything okay. This says absolutely not. You can't just slap God into your life and go, it's going to be all right. These people had God in their life. God intervened. He came in. He meant good. He meant good for Jacob. He meant good for the would-be killers. I want to bring reconciliation. I want to bring you to a good place. That's the character of God, not vindictive, not capricious, not I'm going to give you something good today and take something bad tomorrow. What real faith has got to get God right. There has to be this connection between who we understand him to be and how we rely on that in our life. To grab hold of it. They are the contrasting example in this story of people who had God doing good things but never really understood it. We're going to spend the next several weeks here looking at Joseph, the contrasting character in this, that younger son who has his ups and downs, but has a faith that has a substance, a realness to it. And we're going to see a very different reaction to the way life goes. So I want to challenge you. On the back of your connection card, there are not really next steps. It's more of a number of questions. Kind of, where is your faith at? Is there a way that you're going, yeah, I believe in God. I'm doing some decent things here, but it just seems just a bit off. Something isn't quite right yet. There are edges. There's anxieties. It's not settled. To understand that's where you might be at. And to say, over these next few weeks, Lord, I want you to take whatever seed of faith that I have and begin to work it. And if it's broke, to fix it. To put me in step with you. I don't want to go down a road where my faith can't deal with any of the fears and difficulties and trials of life. And all I've got left to say is everything is against me. And my life was nothing but a series of difficulties. That's no faith at all. I also list on there some of the chapters in Genesis, if you'd like to kind of read ahead of time as we start to look at Joseph. We're going to slow this down and kind of look at different sections of Joseph's life. That would be a good step for you to do. Let's pray together. Father, thank you for these examples that you have given us. Not made up examples. They're not just fables and stories. These are real life people that you found wandering in the desert. And even though they were scoundrels, you went, I want to do good. I want to bring good into your life. I want to be your God. And so I need to grow your faith, your trust. Lord, help us if we are stuck in one of the ditches where our faith is stagnant, where our faith is a bit broken, where we just don't quite get you right, and all it does is bring aggravation. Lord, give us the courage here over the next few weeks to hear you speak loud and clear into our lives.